What you are about to see is a work of pure fiction. This content has no connection to reality whatsoever. The video contains scenes of violence and fictional events. All characters and all events mentioned are entirely imaginary. This content is presented for entertainment, review, and analysis purposes only, intended for viewers over 18. Welcome to a new compilation of our recap. If you missed any part, this video will gather all the events from the beginning for you. If you're already following along with us and want to jump straight to the new part starts from this minute. Grab your favorite drink and let's get started.
The episode begins inside a dark dungeon full of monsters, with Orhan Dura running through the corridors on his own. Monsters are coming at him from every direction. Goblins, strange creatures, and huge numbers trying to surround him. But Orhan doesn't look scared, because he's not just some random adventurer lost inside the dungeon. He used to be a former member of the Hero Party, and the Hero Party is not a simple team. This is a party that reached the 94th floor of the Great Southern Dungeon, a place where most adventurers wouldn't survive for even a few minutes. In the middle of the fight, Orhan uses his sword, and at the same time he casts enchantments on himself. He strengthens his body, boosts his speed, improves his reaction time, and keeps taking down one monster after another. And from the very first scene, the episode makes one thing clear. People may think Orhan is weak, but the person in front of us is not weak at all. He's someone who understands combat in a different way. After that, the episode takes us back to the day his life was turned upside down. Orhan is standing in front of his old party. Oliver, the leader of the party, is standing in front of him with a cold expression. And Oliver is not just his leader. He's Orhan's childhood friend, so the words he's about to say aren't coming from a stranger. They're coming from someone who is supposed to know Orhan better than anyone else. Oliver looks at him and says coldly, "Orhan, starting today, you're out of the hero party." At first, Orhan can't understand what's happening. He asks them as if he's trying to convince himself that this is some kind of joke. "What are you talking about? Are you messing with me?" But no one laughs. Everyone around him is silent, and the atmosphere itself feels cold. Annalie, one of the party members, steps into the conversation and starts looking down on him. She tells him that his problem is that he tries to do everything. A bit of support, a bit of magic, a bit of swordsmanship, a bit of protection, but in the end, he doesn't truly excel at anything. And that's where they throw that insulting label at him. Jack of all trades, someone who can do many things but isn't a master of anything. To them, that's a flaw. To them, Orhan has become a burden on the party. Derek also agrees with them and talks down to him arrogantly, as if Orhan's place in the party all this time was nothing but a favor. Orhan tries to defend himself. He reminds them that he changed his path for their sake. He was originally a swordsman, a sword fighter. But when the party needed an enchanter, someone who could use support magic, Orhan gave up his old path and started learning enchantment to help them. He didn't do it for himself. He did it so the party could reach as far as possible, but Oliver answers him coldly. He tells him that they already found a stronger replacement, a real enchanter. A specialist, not like Orhan, who depends on a bunch of scattered skills. Those words hurt Orhan deeply, not just because he was kicked out, but because the people saying them are his friends, people he lived with, fought with, and reached impossible dungeon floors with, and in one single moment all of that gets erased. Orhan leaves without saying much. There's no big fight, no screaming, but it's clear that the betrayal has broken something inside him. As he walks away, there's only one feeling in his heart. Everything he did for the party, no one ever truly saw it. After that, we return to the present. Orhan is alone now, no hero party, no support from anyone, no famous name to protect him, but instead of collapsing, he decides to start over. He goes back to his roots, back to the sword. He was a swordsman before he became an enchanter. And now he's going to rebuild himself from the beginning, but in his own way. He won't just be a support mage, and he won't just be a fighter either. He wants to reach a point where he becomes a complete person, someone who can use everything: the sword, magic, support, speed, and tactics, all of it together. Orhan continues moving through the dungeon, and while he's walking, he hears voices in the distance. At first, he thinks there's a party fighting, but when he gets closer, he realizes something isn't right. There's a group of adventurers running away. They look terrified, and they're talking quickly about a girl who was with them, a new member of their party. When the monsters attacked, they abandoned her and ran. Orhan stops where he is. Those words hit a very sensitive spot inside him. He has just been abandoned by his own friends. He has just gone through the experience of being thrown away by people he trusted, as if his existence meant nothing. So when he hears that a party left one of their own members to die inside the dungeon, he gets angry. He looks at them sharply and asks, "You left one of your own behind." They try to justify it. They say the situation was dangerous, that she was probably going to die anyway, and that there was nothing they could do. But Orhan isn't convinced. To him, a party that abandons one of its members in a moment of danger has no worth. He doesn't wait to hear more excuses. He runs straight toward the place where the girl was left behind. And here the episode shows us that even though Orhan is hurt inside, he still has principles. He isn't fighting for fame, and he isn't trying to prove himself to people. He moves because someone needs help. At the same time, the girl who is left alone, Sophia Clodel, is in a terrifying situation. Monsters are surrounding her. She's a mage and she's trying to defend herself. But the fear is obvious on her face. Not just fear of the monsters, it's the fear of being abandoned. The party she thought would protect her disappeared, and now she's alone inside the dungeon. She tries to cast her magic, but the pressure is too much. The monsters keep getting closer. Every second becomes more dangerous than the one before it, and just when it looks like she's about to be completely trapped, Orhun appears. Orhun rushes into the battle. He strikes down the first monster in front of him, then casts enchantment magic on himself. His movements become faster, his attacks become stronger, and his reactions become so sharp that it feels like he can see every attack before it happens. He may not be the strongest in raw power, but his way of fighting is extremely smart. Every step is calculated, every strike lands where it should, and every spell supports the move that comes after it. Sophia keeps staring at him in disbelief. The person who suddenly appeared and saved her isn't moving like an ordinary adventurer. He's someone with a huge amount of experience. Orhun finishes off the monsters, then checks on her. He asks if she's okay. Sophia is confused and doesn't know how to answer properly. She asks him why he saved her. Does he know her? Does he want something in return? Does he have some kind of hidden reason? Orhun answers simply, I saved you because you were in danger. That's all. That answer means a lot to her, because she has just been abandoned by people who ran away to save themselves. And suddenly, she finds a complete stranger risking himself to save her without even knowing who she is. After that, Orhun confronts the party that abandoned her. His tone becomes sharp. He basically tells them, how could you leave someone from your own party inside the dungeon? If you're not ready to take responsibility for a teammate, then don't bring someone with you in the first place. The party tries to avoid the blame, but Orhun doesn't give them space to make excuses. He sees what they did as more than a simple mistake. To him, it's cowardice and betrayal. And this scene is important because it shows us the difference between Orhun and his old party. Orhun was abandoned and betrayed, but when he saw someone else being abandoned, he didn't say, that's not my problem. On the contrary, he moved immediately. After saving Sophia, we learn that Sophia is not just an ordinary girl. She's a member of a major clan called the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, one of the strongest clans in the kingdom. And not only that, Sophia is also the younger sister of Selma Clodel. And Selma is not an ordinary person at all. She's one of the strongest users of support magic on the continent. In other words, she's exactly the kind of person the hero party wanted to replace Orhun with. And here the picture starts becoming clearer. Oliver kicked Orhun out because he thought the party needed a stronger, specialized enchanter, someone fully dedicated to support magic. So instead of seeing Orhun's true value, he saw him as an incomplete version of a professional enchanter. But the problem is, Orhun was never trying to be a copy of anyone. He was building his own style, a style that combines swordsmanship, magic, support, and combat experience. After that, Orhun meets Selma. Selma has a calm and powerful presence. From the way she talks, it's obvious that she's not like the members of the hero party. She doesn't look at Orhun as a burden. On the contrary, she remembers Orhun very well. She had seen him before during one of the dungeon raids, and she saw with her own eyes the way he fought, how fast his support magic was, and how he covered the mistakes of the people around him. Meaning she understands that this man is not weak. The people around him just never understood his value. Selma thanks him for saving Sophia, but after thanking him, she gets to the real topic. She has a request for him. She tells him that the clan is running a training program for new recruits. The idea is to take beginners into the dungeon under the protection of experienced adventurers, not just to let them watch, but so they can learn from real combat, see the monsters, understand the danger, and realize that the dungeon is not a game. Orhun listens and starts analyzing the situation quickly. He understands the system. He understands that they're trying to speed up the recruits' growth. Instead of letting beginners waste months or years making deadly mistakes, they'll learn early from people stronger than them. But Orhun isn't sure he's the right person for the job, especially after what happened to him. The voices of his old party are still inside his head. Oliver, Annalie, and Derek telling him he isn't enough, that he's weak, that he's just someone who can do many things but isn't good at anything. So he tells Selma, in other words, I don't know if I'm suitable for this. I'm no longer in the hero party, and I'm not coming here as an enchanter. But Selma answers calmly. She tells him that she doesn't want him as an enchanter. She wants him to join as a swordsman. Those words touch something important inside him, because the sword is his true origin, the thing he gave up so he could support his old party. It's almost as if Selma is telling him without saying it directly, I see the real part of you, not just the role you were forced to play. In the end, Orhun agrees, not because he suddenly becomes confident, but because he feels that there are people who need his experience. And despite everything that happened, he still can't turn his back on someone who needs him. After that, Orhun goes to see an older person he knows, someone who looks like a shop owner or a merchant close to him. This person talks to him in a different way. He doesn't treat him like a great hero, and he doesn't treat him like a failure who got kicked out. He talks to him like a human being. Orhan indirectly tells him about what happened, about being expelled, about the new mission, and about the feeling that he doesn't know where he belongs anymore. The older man listens, then gives him simple advice: if there are people who need you, do what you can. The words aren't philosophical, but they reach Orhan. Because throughout the episode, he has been searching for an answer. Is he really useless? Was his value only tied to the hero party? Now that he left them, is he finished? And the answer that starts to appear here is no. Orhan still has a path, but this time the path won't be for Oliver, and it won't be for the hero party. This path will be for himself. By the end of the episode, the main idea becomes clear. Orhan was expelled from the strongest party and was called someone who can do many things but isn't special in anything. But what the party never understood is that his wide range of skills is not a weakness. It might actually be his most dangerous weapon, because he isn't locked into one role. If he needs to fight, he fights. If he needs to support, he supports. If he needs to analyze, he analyzes. And if he needs to save someone, he moves without hesitation. On the other hand, the hero party lost the person who had been carrying so many things without anyone noticing. Oliver thinks he replaced him with a stronger enchanter. But the real question is specialized strength alone enough, or was Orhan the hidden reason the party reached the 94th floor in the first place? We continue with Vince Briers, the leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan, talking with Selma about Orhan. Vince is extremely surprised that the hero party let someone like him go, because from his point of view, anyone who has seen Orhan fighting or supporting a party would immediately know that this man is not an ordinary member. Selma confirms the same thing and explains that Orhan's speed when casting spells is not normal, and that he doesn't just use support magic. He reads the battle at a terrifying speed, as if he can see what is going to happen before it happens. Vince starts to understand that Orhan might be the real secret behind the hero party reaching the higher floors of the dungeon, not just some weak member like they claimed. After that, Orhan is standing in front of Selma and Vince, still not fully comfortable with the idea of this new mission. They want him to take part in a training trip for the new recruits, and the goal is to reach floor 51 in only 3 days. Orhan hears the number and gets surprised, because he knows the dungeon is not an easy place. Even with experienced adventurers around, taking beginners into advanced floors that quickly is a huge risk. Orhan tries to understand Vince's real goal. Is this truly training, or is the clan trying to test the recruits in a harsh way? Vince explains that the recruits need to see the real dungeon, not just theoretical training. If they stay afraid of the higher floors, they will never become strong adventurers. But inside, Orhan feels that the situation is not simple, and he decides to observe it himself. After that, Selma introduces him to the other experienced adventurers who will join the trip. There is Kathy, the healer responsible for healing and backline support. And there are Anthem and Bernard, whose role is defense and protection, and their presence makes the trip safer for the recruits. Orhan looks at the formation and understands that the clan prepared the trip well, but the real problem is not the experienced members around him. The real problem is the recruits themselves. After that, the beginners are divided into groups, and Orhan gets the most difficult group. The group includes Sophia, the girl he saved before, along with Logan Hayward, a young enchanter who is arrogant and overly confident, and Caroline Angelot, a cheerful girl who is always smiling but acts with strange recklessness. From the first meeting, Logan treats Orhan with clear arrogance. He knows that Orhan was expelled from the hero party, so he sees him as a failure, or at least someone beneath him. Logan tries to act like a leader and talks as if he understands everything, but from the first look, Orhan notices that his confidence is not built on real experience. As for Caroline, she is the complete opposite. She is lighthearted, talks with excitement, and treats danger as if it is a game. She laughs, moves quickly, and says things that make her seem like she isn't afraid of anything. But Orhan notices that her problem is not courage. Her problem is that she is reckless and doesn't think about the consequences of her movements. Sophia, on the other hand, is calm and nervous. She is clearly strong and her magic is not weak, but when she is inside a party, she gets tense and becomes afraid of making mistakes. Having Orhan near her makes her a little calmer, especially because he is the person who saved her when her old party abandoned her. Trip begins and the group enters the dungeon. At first, Orhan does not interfere too much. He is not there to show off his strength, he is there to observe. He wants to see how each one of them fights when they are put under real pressure. Logan starts using support magic and he actually proves that he is talented. His spells are not bad and he has a good understanding of the basics, but under the first long wave of pressure, Orhan notices a major problem. Logan's stamina is weak. He burns through his energy quickly and he tries to control the party without actually knowing how to lead them. Every now and then, he gives uncalculated orders, as if he wants to prove that he is the leader instead of thinking about what is best for the team. Orhan stays silent at first, but he stores every note in his mind. Then comes Caroline's turn. As soon as the monsters get close, Caroline moves with incredible speed. She is supposed to be a defender, but instead of holding her position and protecting the team, she depends on dodging and quick attacks. She avoids the attacks easily and slips between the monsters with light movement. The recruits might see this as an amazing skill, but Orhan immediately sees the problem. Caroline is fast, yes, but her strikes are not strong enough, and her reckless movement can open a gap that puts the entire party in danger. If one monster ignores her and goes towards Sophia or Logan, the whole defense will fall apart. Orhan starts giving her simple notes without breaking her confidence. He tells Caroline that speed alone is not enough, and that a defender's job is not just to survive. A defender's job is to protect the people behind them. Caroline smiles as usual when she hears this, but it is clear that she still does not fully understand how dangerous the issue is. Sophia tries to help with her magic, and at that moment Orhan notices that she is extremely talented. Her true power is not small, but her problem is that she is afraid to take up space inside the party. When she is alone and feels danger, she moves, but inside a group she hesitates, as if she is afraid of becoming a burden to the people around her. Orhan understands that each one of the three has a different flaw. Logan has talent, but his arrogance and weak stamina stop him from becoming a leader. Caroline has speed and courage, but her recklessness turns her into a danger to herself and to the team. And Sophia has real power, but her shyness and fear of making mistakes make her pull back. The group continues moving down through the dungeon, and Orhan keeps leading them calmly. When the danger increases, he interferes at the right moment. He does not take the experience away from them, but he also does not let them act recklessly until they die. Every time someone makes a mistake, he stops them or adjusts their course. If Logan gives a wrong order, Orhan corrects it. If Caroline rushes too far, Orhan covers the gap. If Sophia hesitates, he gives her a chance to move without pressuring her. And with time, the three of them start to realize that Orhan is not the person people described him as. He is not just someone who got kicked out because he was weak. On the contrary, he understands every role in the party and he can read their mistakes quickly. Logan, in particular, starts getting annoyed because he entered the trip thinking he was above Orhan, but every minute inside the dungeon proves that Orhan sees things he does not see. As the trip continues, the team manages to reach floor 21 and return to the surface by the end of the day. For the recruits, reaching that floor on the first day is an achievement, but for Orhan this is only the beginning. He knows that the path to floor 51 is still long, and that if the three of them do not fix their weaknesses, those weaknesses might appear in a very dangerous way on the deeper floors. After returning, Orhan hears a piece of news that bothers him deeply. The hero party has finally brought in a new enchanter to replace him. The news hurts him, not because he wants to go back, but because it confirms that they truly replaced him, as if he were just a missing piece in the party. As if all the years he spent with them, all the sacrifices he made, and every time he carried their mistakes without anyone noticing, all of that turned into nothing more than an empty position that could be filled by someone else. While Orhan is still trying to calm his thoughts, Luna appears. Luna was a member of the hero party and one of the few people who had always treated him kindly. Not like Annalie and Derek, who looked down on him, and not like Oliver, who expelled him coldly. From the way Luna speaks, it is obvious that she is upset about what happened, and it is also clear that she was not satisfied with the decision to remove him. She approaches Orhan and tries to talk to him gently. She asks how he is doing, and she tries to open the door for him to return to the party. To her, Orhan's presence is important and the hero party needs him. But instead of comforting Orhan, her words open the wound even more, because he knows that Luna might be kind, but she is not the person who expelled him. The person who broke him was Oliver, his childhood friend, the one who was supposed to understand his value before anyone else. Luna tries to convince him that things can be fixed and that his return might restore balance to the party, but Orhan answers her with suppressed anger. He basically tells her that he cannot go back as if nothing happened. Not after Oliver stood in front of him and told him they no longer needed him. Not after the members of the party treated him like a burden. And not after they replaced him with someone else without even trying to understand what he had truly been doing. Luna tries to defend him and says that not all of them were against him, but Orhan makes it clear that the problem is not whether there was one kind person among them. The problem is that the entire party allowed the decision to happen. If he returns now just because Luna asked him to, it would be as if he accepted the insult. It would be as if he needed someone's pity to get his place back. And that is the one thing Orhan refuses completely. He does not want to return as a member who was kicked out and then allowed back in. If anyone should ask him to return, it has to be Oliver himself. And even if Oliver did ask, Orhan is not sure he could look at his face without feeling betrayed. This scene shows that Orhan's pain is not just temporary anger. He is hurt because a relationship was broken. He is not sad because he lost his position in a famous party. He is sad because his old friend threw him away so easily. Luna is affected by his words because she can see how deeply the situation broke him inside, but Orhan makes his position clear. He is not going back, not now, maybe not ever. After that, it becomes clear that Orhan's path has truly changed. He started the day as a trainer for a difficult group of recruits and discovered that each of them has many problems that need to be fixed. And on the same day, he confirmed that his old party has started moving forward without him with a new replacement. But instead of collapsing or running after them, Orhan chooses to continue on his new path. A path that is not built on Oliver's approval, and not built on the hero party recognizing his value. A path where he can prove his value by himself, among new people who can see something in him that his old party never saw. By the end of the episode, Orhan has made his decision clearly. There is no going back to the same place that broke him. He will continue training Sophia, Logan, and Caroline, and he will start building a new team in his own way. Everything changes because of a newspaper article that starts spreading everywhere. The article says that Orhan was expelled from the hero party because he was weak. And that word in particular causes a lot of noise among the recruits. Some people start whispering and others begin looking at him strangely, as if everything they saw yesterday was erased just because the newspaper called him weak. Orhan feels the tension around him, but he doesn't try to defend himself. He has got used to people judging him from the outside, and he has also got used to his old party looking down on him. So instead of arguing, he stays silent. But Selma does not stay silent. Selma gets extremely angry at what was written because she knows this is not just a rumor. It is clearly an attempt by Oliver and the hero party to justify expelling Orhan in front of the public. Instead of admitting that they threw away someone important, they decided to place the blame on him and call him weak. Selma stands in front of the recruits and speaks with a firm tone. She basically tells them, if Orhan is weak, then how did he reach the 94th floor with the hero party? And if he was really a burden like the newspaper claims, then how did he protect all of you for an entire day inside the dungeon without even struggling? Her words stop the whispers for a while because she isn't defending him emotionally. She is using logic. The man standing in front of them reached a place most adventurers will never even approach, and just yesterday he carried their training as if it were something simple. Sophia never doubted Orhan from the beginning. To her, Orhan is the person who entered danger to save her when she had been abandoned alone. No matter what the newspaper says, she saw him with her own eyes. She saw how he moved, how he fought, and how he asked for nothing in return. Caroline also does not really care about what was written. She saw for herself that Orhan understands combat, and that he understands the meaning of a defender protecting the people behind them, not just surviving by themselves. But Logan's situation is different. Logan is an enchanter and Orhan used to be an enchanter in the hero party, so the comparison feels very personal to him. He cannot easily ignore the article because deep inside he feels a sense of rivalry. If Orhan is truly a strong enchanter, then Logan was wrong to look down on him. But if Orhan is weak, then maybe the newspaper is right. Logan stays uncertain, trying to connect what he saw yesterday with what was published, but he cannot reach a clear answer. Orhan notices the doubt in his eyes, but he still does not pressure him. Not everything has to be explained with words. Sometimes the battle itself gives the answer. After that, the group enters the dungeon again, and this time the goal is deeper. Orhan leads Sophia, Logan, and Caroline along with the clan's protection team, and the trip continues toward floor 35. Every floor they go down to becomes more dangerous than the one before it. The monsters are stronger, the corridors are more complicated, and the mistakes that might have passed on the earlier floors can turn into disasters here. On the way, Orhan keeps observing them just like the day before. Logan tries to prove himself more, using support magic and trying to give orders quickly. But he is still rushing. He wants to look strong. He wants to prove that his position as an enchanter is not lower than Orhan's, and that makes him sometimes focus on himself more than the team. Caroline moves lightly as usual, slipping in and out of the monsters' range and dodging attacks instead of blocking them. It looks impressive, but it is still dangerous. And Sophia tries to use her magic with more stability, but every time the pressure increases, she hesitates for a moment. Orhan sees all of this, but he is waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, the group faces a huge and dangerous monster called the Death Tarantula, a giant spider with a terrifying appearance, and its movement is fast for its size. This monster is not just a strong opponent. It is a real test for the entire group, because its attacks are not only direct, it can pressure them from more than one direction and force them to move incorrectly. As soon as the fight begins, Logan gets tense. He knows this is not an ordinary monster. He tries to give orders, but Orhan immediately steps in, not with a loud voice and not to show off, but with the tone of a leader who understands everything. Quickly assigns the roles. Caroline keeps the monster occupied from the front but without rushing too far. Sophia prepares an offensive spell for the right moment. Logan focuses on support instead of trying to control every little detail. and Orhan himself moves as a swordsman, but his eyes never leave anyone. The death tarantula attacks quickly, and Caroline almost rushes forward like usual, but Orhan stops her at the right second. He tells her to move at an angle, not straight ahead. She listens, and the monster's attack misses. Sophia prepares her spell, but before she fires, Orhan tells her to wait for a fraction of a second. She hesitates, but she trusts him. And after a moment, the monster opens a weak point in its defense, and that is when Orhan gives her the signal. Sophia releases her magic at the perfect timing, and the attack hits the monster much better than it would have if she had rushed. Logan watches, and every bit of doubt inside him starts to shake, because Orhan is not just fighting. He is leading, calculating, correcting, and giving orders based on each person's ability. And what makes it even harder for Logan is that Orhan, even though he is supposed to be joining this trip as a swordsman, uses enchantment magic in the middle of the fight with terrifying smoothness. In one moment, he strengthens Caroline's weapons and makes her blades sharper and more dangerous, allowing her to deal more damage instead of simply being a fast fighter who distracts the monster. Logan is shocked because this is not a normal move. Orhan is mixing swordsmanship and support at the same time without losing focus on the battle. Logan remembers something important he saw before. Orhan once used a spell that slowed down an enemy with ease, even though that kind of spell is extremely complicated, and even skilled enchanters might avoid it because it needs very precise timing and control. For Logan, this is the first time he sees the full picture. Orhan is not a weak enchanter. And he is not just a normal swordsman using a little support magic. Orhan is someone who understands the entire system. He understands how to weaken the enemy, how to strengthen his allies, and how to use his sword at the same time without getting confused. The fight against the death tarantula continues, and Orhan keeps giving precise orders. Caroline moves right, Sophia waits for the right timing, Logan maintains the support, and Orhan covers every gap that appears. In the end, the team manages to defeat the monster. But the real victory here is not just killing the monster. The real victory is that Logan saw with his own eyes that Orhan is not weak. He saw that the person the newspaper said was expelled for being weak was the one controlling the battle from beginning to end. After they return to the surface, Orhan goes to eat with Anthem and Bernard. The atmosphere here becomes a little calmer. The two of them saw Orhan's performance inside the dungeon, and they're curious to know more about his story. They ask him why he decided to return as a swordsman after being known as an enchanter in the hero party. Orhan answers calmly and tells them about his grandfather. His grandfather was a great swordsman, and one day he saved their village from a massive monster. That scene stayed carved into Orhan's heart from the time he was a child. To him, the sword was not just a weapon. The sword was a symbol of protection, a symbol of someone who could stand in front of danger and protect the people behind him. That is why his original dream was to become a swordsman like his grandfather. But when he grew older and entered the adventure path with Oliver, the party needed an enchanter. Someone to support them, strengthen them, cover their weaknesses, and open the way through the dungeon. So Orhan temporarily gave up his original dream, not because he hated the sword, but because he wanted to help Oliver reach as far as possible. He became an enchanter for the party, for his friend. For the old promise between them. Anthem and Bernard listen to him and understand that Orhan is not someone who was confused between two paths. He is someone who was forced to change his path for the people he cared about, but Orhan does not tell them everything. He does not tell them the painful truth inside him, that the way they reached the 94th floor was too fast and flawed. Orhan had been carrying the party more than he should have. He was covering their mistakes, supporting them, speeding up their progress, and making them feel stronger than they really were. And that made Oliver and his party fail to learn enough. They did not struggle in the way that would have forced them to grow. They did not face their true weaknesses because Orhan was always supporting them from beneath. And that is why Orhan is certain of one harsh thing. Without him, the hero party will never pass the 94th floor, not because he is enjoying their failure, but because he knows the truth. He knows Oliver's nature. He knows Oliver is impatient and wants to prove himself quickly, and that can push him into dangerous decisions. At the same time, Logan is sitting with Sophia and Caroline, and his mind still cannot calm down. He starts asking them about Orhan. He wants to know what happened on the day Orhan saved Sophia. Sophia tells him that Orhan appeared while she was surrounded, and that he fought a group of orcs quickly, using his sword and support magic together as if it were completely natural. Caroline adds that during training, Orhan could see their mistakes immediately and correct them without looking down on them. Every answer Logan hears breaks another piece of his arrogance. He thought Orhan was just someone who had been expelled or an enchanter who failed in the hero party, but now he starts to understand that Orhan was much deeper than that. Logan becomes silent and thinks to himself, if Orhan has all of this skill, then the real question is not why he was expelled. The real question is, how was the hero party stupid enough to expel him? And from here, Logan's attitude begins to change. Instead of looking at Orhun as a rival or someone he needs to prove himself better than, he starts seeing him as an opportunity. If he learns from him, he might truly improve. He might understand how to become a real enchanter, not just someone who knows how to cast spells. On the other side, Sophia starts thinking about something different. She admires Orhun and his way of doing things, and she feels safe when he is around. So she starts asking herself, what if Orhun actually joins the Night Sky Silver Rabbit's clan? If that happens, she would see him every day and he would always be close to them. The thought makes her happy, but it also makes her nervous. Because she does not know how to say it, and she does not know how Selma would react if she found out that Sophia wants Orhun to stay close to her like that. By the end of the day, it becomes clear that the group has changed. Sophia trusts him even more. Caroline sees him as a respected leader. And Logan, the one who doubted him the most, has started to admit inside himself that Orhun is someone he should learn from. But on the other side, the bigger danger begins to move. The next day, the hero party itself enters the maze. Oliver and his new party, along with the enchanter they brought in to replace Orhun, head into the dungeon to prove that they can continue without him. To Oliver, this is not just a dungeon trip. It is an attempt to prove that he was not wrong when he expelled Orhun. But the problem is that Orhun knows Oliver well. He knows that Oliver is impatient. He knows that when Oliver feels his pride has been wounded, he might make a reckless decision just to prove himself. We continue with the hero party entering the dungeon again, but this time without Orhun. Oliver, Annalie, Derek, Luna, and the new enchanter Philly are going down to floor 92 to test the party after the major change that happened. For Oliver, this trip is not just a normal mission. It is proof that he was right when he expelled Orhun, proof that the hero party is still strong, and proof that Orhun's presence was not the real reason behind their success. But from the very first moment, Luna feels that something is wrong. She is almost the only one who understands the size of the disaster. Because over the past years, Luna had seen Orhun supporting the party from the back. She had seen him strengthen them, cover their mistakes, adjust their timing, and make each one of them look stronger than they really were. That is why when she sees them going down with too much confidence, she already knows they are heading toward a shock. Oliver tries to act as if everything is normal. He speaks confidently and says that having Philly as the new enchanter will make up for Orhun's place and might even make the party stronger. Annalie and Derek also seem convinced of the same idea. To them, Orhun was just a weak person who could do many things without mastering anything. As long as they brought in a specialized enchanter, then their performance should improve. But Luna does not believe that at all. She knows the problem is not that they need any enchanter. The problem is that they needed Orhun himself. The first encounter happens on floor 92 and the party starts fighting. At first, everyone tries to use their old style. Oliver rushes forward like usual. Annalie prepares her offensive magic. Derek steps in as the defensive line, and Philly tries to cast support magic in Orhun's place. But very quickly the difference starts to show. The spells are not reaching them at the same timing. The support is not stable. The strength they were used to feeling in their bodies is not there in the same way. Oliver attacks, but he finds that his strikes are weaker than he expected. Annalie releases her magic, but the damage is not as great as she imagined. Derek tries to hold back the attacks, but his body cannot endure the pressure the way it used to. Here, the party starts feeling something strange. It is not just that the monsters are stronger, they themselves are weaker. Annalie gets annoyed and looks toward Philly as if she's saying, "You are not supporting us properly." Derek also starts losing his temper because he was used to stopping attacks firmly, but now every hit pushes him backward. Philly tries to respond and says that the spells are working and that she's doing what she can, but the problem is that they are moving too fast and without coordination. She cannot keep up with every single one of them, and she cannot read the entire battlefield at the same time. Here, Luna understands even more how terrifying Orhun really was. Because the things Philly cannot do while standing back and focusing only as an enchanter, Orhun used to do while fighting, moving, and correcting everyone's mistakes. Oliver refuses to accept it. He tries to push harder. He tells them to continue and that this is only the beginning and that the party just needs to get used to Philly. But the longer the battle goes on, the worse the situation becomes. Philly's energy starts running out quickly, not because she has no talent, but because the hero party's fighting style itself is built on constant support. They were used to someone casting many spells at insane speed without them feeling it. They were used to every mistake being covered before it became visible. But Philly is not Orhun. When someone makes a mistake, the mistake appears. When someone moves too early, there is no one to catch up with them. When someone is late, there is no support saving them at the last second. Luna tries to warn them. She tells them they need to calm down, they need to take a step back, and they need to admit that the situation is different. But Oliver hears those words as if they are an insult. To him, admitting weakness now means admitting that Orhun was truly important, and that is a truth he is not ready to face. The party continues deeper, and suddenly a massive monster appears in front of them, terrifying the entire area. The black dragon, a huge black dragon whose presence alone is enough to freeze the atmosphere. As soon as Philly sees it, she freezes in place. She cannot move, she cannot cast a spell. Fear completely takes over her. Oliver shouts at her to support them, but she cannot even answer. Annalie tries to prepare her magic, but the dragon moves with more speed and power than they expected. Derek steps in to protect them, but the attack is far beyond what his current strength can handle. In just a few moments, Annalie and Derek get injured. The whole scene turns into chaos. Oliver cannot believe what is happening. The party that had reached the 94th floor is now being broken on floor 92. They are not just struggling, they are being exposed. All the confidence they wore in front of people starts falling apart, and each one of them begins to feel the truth they had been refusing to see. Their old strength was never their strength alone. Oliver stands in front of the black dragon while still denying what he is seeing with his own eyes. Annalie is injured, Derek cannot stand firm like before, Philly is frozen with fear, and Luna is trying to save whatever she can before the entire party collapses. Oliver tries to attack, but every time he discovers that the gap between them and the dragon is much bigger than he imagined. At that moment, he has only one final option. He uses an item called the Fickle Gate, a one-time use gate that transfers them to a random, safer floor. Normally, this decision is supposed to be an absolute last resort because you do not fully control the result, but Oliver is terrified and cannot see any other option. He uses it to save the party from death. The gate opens and the party manages to escape, but the real disaster happens at the same moment. The black dragon catches the gate or enters through it as well and gets transferred too. But instead of staying in the deep floors, the dragon moves up to a higher floor. And that means the monster that was supposed to be trapped in the terrifying lower floors is now close to floors where much weaker adventurers might be. In other words, the lives of many people are now in danger because of Oliver's reckless decision. Luna explodes at them. She tells them that they must report to the guild immediately. They need to force an evacuation for every adventurer inside the dungeon because if the dragon meets ordinary parties, it will wipe them out. Oliver tries to process the disaster, but his pride is still resisting. He cannot face the idea that his mistake has put many people at risk. Luna continues and says the truth they had been running away from. The party needs Orhun, not because Orhun was their friend, not because they want to return to old memories, but because Orhun is the only one who understood their style, understood the dungeon, and understood how to cover their weaknesses. Annalie and Derek get irritated by her words, as if simply hearing Orhun's name in the middle of their failure is an insult. But Luna does not have the luxury of being nice to them. As they leave, she starts explaining what they never saw. Orhun knew that he was not the strongest among enchanters in the traditional sense. He did not have the kind of raw power that would amaze people at first glance. So instead of giving up, he created his own method, original magic, spells designed by him, support that does not only strengthen the body but also strengthens weapons, adjusts movement, improves timing, and covers small weaknesses before they turn into disasters. Luna basically tells them that for years, they had been living on top of Orhun's magic without even realizing it. Annalie thought that her destructive magic was her natural strength, but a large part of her stability and speed came from his support. Derek thought his defense was strong enough, but the truth is that Orhun was strengthening him at the decisive moments. And Oliver himself rushed forward with confidence because he was used to someone in the back adjusting the entire battle around him. The problem is that when they got used to that, they stopped training properly. They stopped facing their flaws. They developed the illusion that they were stronger than they truly were, and over time, arrogance covered everything. Instead of thanking the person who had been carrying them, they treated him like a burden. Her words land heavily on them. Annalie refuses to believe it easily. Derek goes silent because Luna's words explain everything that happened, but Oliver is the one affected the most. Because if Luna is right, then he did not just expel his friend. He expelled the pillar that had been holding the party together. He expelled the person who had been protecting his dream from collapsing. When they reach the surface, people welcome them with cheers. Adventurers and civilians around them think the hero party returned early because they finished their mission quickly. They start clapping and cheering for Oliver as if he is an undefeated hero. And this scene breaks Oliver more than the failure itself, because he knows he does not deserve that applause. He knows he did not win. He knows he ran away. And he knows that because of his escape, the black dragon is now a danger to everyone inside the dungeon. But instead of letting that truth break him and make him humble, anger takes over him. Oliver pressures himself into believing that the solution is not to admit his mistake. The solution is to prove to everyone that he does not need Orhun, to prove that the hero party is still the hero party, to prove that everything that happened was just a temporary mistake. But the problem is that his insistence is not courage, it is denial, because the truth is clearer in front of him than ever before. Without Orhun, the party is not just weaker, the party is lost. And with the black dragon now on the higher floors, the disaster Oliver started will not stop at his wounded pride. The disaster can now swallow innocent adventurers, and it may drag Orhun himself into a battle he already felt was coming. We continue with Orhan preparing for the third day of recruit training, but before entering the dungeon, the conversation shifts toward a very important name in the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan: Albert Sensible. Albert was not just an ordinary member of the clan, he was the former ace, the person people saw as one of their pillars of strength. But Albert died while facing the Black Dragon. And his death left a heavy mark on the entire clan, especially Selma, Vince, and the other older members. Orhan hears this and feels that the issue is not just old history, because that dragon is not an ordinary monster. It is the monster that broke strong people and made even a clan as powerful as the Night Sky Silver Rabbits feel the pain of loss. Selma quietly hints to Orhan that she sees him as the person who might be able to take Albert's place, not as a simple replacement, but as someone who can support the clan in the future. Orhan understands the hint but acts like he didn't notice. Not because he is stupid, but because he is still not ready to see himself as an important member in a new place. He has just come out of the betrayal of the hero party and he is still trying to figure out where he stands. At the same time, Luna has arrived at the guild in a state of panic. She knows that the Black Dragon has been moved to a higher floor because of Oliver's mistake, and that means any ordinary adventurer might suddenly run into it and die within seconds. She enters quickly and asks the officials to perform a forced teleportation for every adventurer inside the dungeon. This request is not simple. It means using a massive amount of mana to pull everyone out before the disaster happens. The guild master hears her words, but he hesitates, not because he doesn't believe her, but because a decision of this scale is extremely difficult. If they do it without a clear reason, it will consume a huge amount of mana and might cause other problems, but if they delay, people might die. Luna pressures him and tells him that there is no time for hesitation. The Black Dragon is not a monster they can just allow to move freely on the higher floors. In the middle of all of this, Oliver is standing there, feeling the entire disaster falling on his head. The guild master speaks to him clearly. What happened is your responsibility. You opened the gate, and you are the reason the dragon reached a place it was never supposed to reach. Those words hurt Oliver because this time there is no way to escape the truth. This is not just a defeat inside the dungeon. This is a mistake that could kill innocent people. As for Orhan, he is with the training group and Sophia, Logan, and Caroline continue descending with him. They reach floor 40 and instead of finding monsters like usual, the place is strangely quiet. That silence does not comfort Orhan. On the contrary, it makes him feel that something is wrong. The dungeon is never empty like this without a reason. Sophia finds the place strange and Logan tries to think logically, saying maybe the monsters moved somewhere else, but Orhan does not feel at ease. His experience tells him that when danger suddenly disappears, there is usually an even greater danger behind it. And despite that uneasy feeling, Orhan continues the training because he still has no confirmed information. He starts explaining more advanced things to the recruits. He talks about traps or trap spells. He explains to them that combat is not always about direct attacks. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to prepare the ground before the enemy moves. If you can place a trap in the right location at the right time, you can stop a monster much stronger than you. Logan listens carefully because this is a different style from what he is used to. He used to think of an enchanter as someone who simply casts support on the party, but Orhan is showing him that a true enchanter can control the battlefield itself. After that, Orhan starts explaining something even harder: casting more than one spell at the same time. Logan is surprised because to him, this is an extremely complicated skill. Just maintaining one spell steadily requires focus, so casting multiple spells, each with a different function, is on another level. Orhan explains to him that the issue is not only magical power, it is about splitting focus. You need to know which spell needs your full attention, which spell can keep running in the background, and at which moment you need to cancel one spell to start another. Logan tries to apply it and fails at first. The spells interfere with each other and his focus collapses. Orhan does not mock him. On the contrary, he corrects him calmly. He tells him that making mistakes is normal, but arrogance is what turns mistakes into something deadly. That sentence stays in Logan's mind because he knows the words are not just about magic, they are about him personally. At the same time, Caroline is learning from Orhan what it truly means to be a defender. He explains to her that defense is not about running fast and making the monster fail to hit you. Real defense means keeping the people behind you safe. If the enemy passes you and reaches Sophia or Logan, then you have failed even if you were not hit. Caroline laughs and tries to joke like usual, but Orhan's words make her think. She's used to treating herself as if she does not matter. As long as she moves, laughs, and the people around her are happy, then everything is fine. But Orhan is trying to teach her that her life has value too, and that the team does not need someone who throws themselves into danger just to look brave. It needs someone who protects themselves and protects others at the same time. Sophia also starts getting closer to Orhun. She does not only see him as a strong trainer, she sees him as someone safe, someone who does not look down on her when he speaks to her. When she makes a mistake, he does not hurt her, and when she hesitates, he gives her space to improve. So during the training, Sophia directly asks him to become her personal teacher. Orhun immediately gets nervous. He is not upset with Sophia. On the contrary, he sees that she is talented and deserves training. But the problem is Selma. Orhun imagines Selma's reaction if she finds out that her younger sister wants personal training with him, and he starts to worry. Sophia notices his confusion, and Caroline also catches the mood and tries to tease them, while Logan looks at them as if he does not understand why the atmosphere suddenly changed. At the guild, preparations for the forced teleportation begin seriously. The guild master gathers the powerful mages, and each one of them gets ready to release a massive amount of mana. The atmosphere becomes extremely tense because any delay could mean the death of entire parties inside the dungeon. Luna remains determined that they need to pull Orhun and his group out first because they will need him if the Black Dragon appears. The guild master agrees that Oliver has to take responsibility for his mistake and he orders him to kill the dragon. Those words fall on Oliver like a sentence. He wants to prove that he does not need Orhun, but now he has been placed in an even harder position. He has to face the dragon he ran away from. He has to fix the disaster he caused. And Luna, despite her anger toward him, knows they might need every available force. But to her, the priority is clear. Orhun must get out safely, because if there is anyone who can understand the Black Dragon and change the course of the disaster, it is Orhun. Inside the dungeon, Orhun's group continues until they reach floor 50. Here, the floor boss appears and the fight becomes a chance for the recruits to see the true difference between an experienced team and a beginner team. Orhun and the veteran fighters enter the battle. Sophia, Logan, and Caroline stand back and watch, and each one of them is amazed by what they see. There is no random movement. No one is running around just to prove themselves. Everyone knows their place. The defender holds the pressure. The healer is ready for any injury. Orhun moves through the empty spaces, supports at the right moment, strikes when he needs to, and connects the entire team together. Logan sees with his own eyes what real coordination means. Caroline sees that defense is not just quick movement, but responsibility, position, and timing. And Sophia sees that strength does not have to be loud or showy. It can be calm and confident. The boss falls in the end and the recruits are amazed. To them, this scene proves that the difference between a beginner and a professional is not only strength but experience and each person understanding their role. For a moment, the atmosphere feels like a victory. Everyone catches their breath and the recruits feel that they have taken a major step forward, but Orhun still does not feel at ease. The bad feeling he had since floor 40 has not disappeared. The strange silence, the disappearance of the monsters, and everything happening around him tells him that a disaster is close. And suddenly, before anyone can celebrate or fully process that they defeated the floor boss, a massive shadow appears above them. The air becomes heavy, the pressure becomes suffocating, everyone raises their eyes and sees the nightmare that was supposed to be far away from them, the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon appears above Orhun's group, above the recruits, above the people who are still learning what the dungeon truly means. In one single moment, all the training turns into a fight for survival. Sophia freezes. Logan swallows hard and cannot believe it. Even Caroline loses her usual smile. Even the veteran fighters feel the weight of the danger. We continue from the moment the Black Dragon appeared above Orhun and the recruits, and in 1 second the entire atmosphere changed from training into a fight for survival. Sophia is standing there in shock. Logan cannot believe that the monster in front of them is the same disaster that was supposed to be far away in the deep floors. And for the first time, Caroline's usual smile disappears from her face. Even the veteran fighters from the Night Sky Silver Rabbits feel that the situation has gone completely out of control because this is not an ordinary monster. This is the Black Dragon that killed Albert before and the same dragon that even the hero party ran away from. Orhun looks at the dragon and immediately understands that there is no time for panic. The first thing he does is give clear orders. Everyone falls back. No one gets close. The recruits gather in a safe place. The healer prepares for any injury. And when Selma tries to move so she can support him, he immediately stops her. Selma is surprised because she's one of the strongest enchanters on the continent, so it makes perfect sense for her to step in and help him. But Orhun basically tells her that she needs to stay away. Not because he thinks she is weak, but because this battle requires extremely precise calculation. He's going to use layered support spells on himself in a very complex way, and if external support from Selma is added on top of his own, the calculations might fall apart and his body might not be able to handle. Selma goes silent, but those words hurt her inside. Not only because Orhan refused her help, but because for the first time, she feels that the enchanter standing in front of her is calculating the battle on a level she cannot easily enter. Orhan moves forward alone in front of the dragon. The sight is shocking to everyone around him. One man standing before a giant monster while all the people who should be helping him are behind him. The black dragon releases a terrifying pressure and the air itself becomes heavy. The monster attacks with a speed far greater than its size suggests, and Orhan activates his first support spells. His body becomes stronger, his speed increases, and his reaction time becomes sharper. He barely dodges the first strike and the ground breaks where he was standing. The recruits freeze from the force of the attack because they realize that if that hit touched any one of them, it would have been over immediately. Orhan does not waste time. He moves toward the dragon and strikes it with his sword, but the dragon's skin is extremely tough. The strike leaves a small mark, but it is not enough. Orhan understands that normal fighting will not work. The dragon is not just a big monster, it is an opponent that needs a multi-layered plan. He begins using weakening magic on the dragon, trying to reduce its speed, slow its reactions, and create small moments where he can move. Logan watches in shock, because the spells Orhan is using are not easy. These are things that a specialized enchanter might need full concentration to perform, yet Orhan is doing them while dodging the attacks of a black dragon. Caroline notices that Orhan is not running randomly. Every movement he makes has a purpose. When he moves to the right, he pulls the dragon away from the recruits. When he steps back, he makes the dragon's tail strike an empty space. When he attacks, he forces the monster to change its angle, meaning Orhan is not only fighting to survive, he is fighting while protecting all of them at the same time. Sophia looks at him with fear and admiration because she knows he's carrying the entire battle on his shoulders. The black dragon launches a stronger attack, and Orhan is forced to raise the level of support on himself even more. He starts stacking spells on top of each other. Support for strength, support for speed, support for endurance, support for senses, and support for mana. A visible pressure starts coming out of his body, as if the energy inside him is rising beyond what is natural. Selma sees this and understands how dangerous what he is doing really is. Layered enhancement can make a fighter much stronger, but it can also destroy the body from the inside if it goes too far. Orhan knows that, but he has no other choice. If he stops or falls back, the dragon will get past him and reach the recruits. The dragon releases a massive attack of fire or dark energy toward the group, and everyone thinks the end is near. But Orhan had already prepared a trap, a reflection spell or a counterspell placed at the right location. When the dragon's attack reaches it, the spell activates and sends part of the force back at the dragon. Everyone is shocked because Orhan was not just improvising. He had been preparing the battlefield from the very first moment. Here, Logan begins to understand the true meaning of an enchanter, not someone who just casts support. A true enchanter prepares, reads, calculates, and turns the enemy's own power against. The black dragon becomes even more enraged after its attack is reflected back at it, and it starts entering a more violent state. Its strikes become faster and its roar shakes the entire dungeon. Orhan gets injured and blood appears on him, but his eyes remain steady. Sophia shouts his name and Selma takes a step forward, but he stops them with one signal, as if he is telling them without words, do not interfere. If anyone steps in now, they will die. Orhan wipes the blood and continues, and here the battle reaches an even more dangerous stage. It is no longer just about who is stronger, it becomes about who can endure longer. Orhan enters the most dangerous phase of the fight and begins using all the experience he gathered from years of being in the hero party. Every time he supported Oliver from the back, every time he covered a mistake made by Annalie or Derek, every time he was forced to create a spell so the party could continue, all of that appears now in one single battle. The difference is that this time, there is no hero party for him to depend on. There is no Oliver standing in front of him. No one is taking the glory instead of him. Orhan is standing alone and everyone around him is seeing his true self for the first time. The dragon attacks from above and Orhan rushes underneath it, using his sword to strike specific points on the monster's body. He is not attacking randomly. He is targeting the joints, the movement points, and the small wounds he opened earlier. The black dragon tries to crush him with its tail, but Orhan activates speed support at the last moment and dodges the strike. The ground breaks apart and debris flies toward the recruits, so Orhan quickly uses a protection spell to stop the damage from reaching them. Logan sees the scene and becomes certain that Orhan is not just fighting, he is doing the work of an entire team. Fighter, enchanter, defender, and leader all at the same time. Selma, while standing far away, starts feeling powerless. She is stronger than many people, but Orhan in this moment is doing something different. He's not using one powerful spell. He's moving dozens of small details at the same time, supporting himself, weakening the dragon, protecting the people behind him, and preparing the next trap. Selma understands that this is why the hero party reached the deep floor. Not because Orhan was a weak follower, but because he was the hidden system that made them move as if they were stronger than they really were. The black dragon does not give him much time. it starts gathering massive energy for a fatal attack. The atmosphere darkens, the pressure increases, and everyone in the area feels that if this attack is released completely, it will wipe them all out. Orhan realizes that defense is not enough. He has to end the battle, but to do that, he needs to go beyond his limit. He starts stacking enhancements on himself again, but this time to a much more dangerous degree. His body trembles from the pressure. His muscles endure more than they should. The mana around his body looks almost like fire. Sophia is close to crying as she watches him destroying himself to protect. Caroline grips her weapon while feeling helpless, and for the first time she understands that reckless rushing is not the answer. Logan stands there, unable to do anything except watch the person he judged only a few days ago doing the impossible in front of him. Orhan forms a massive sword of mana over his own blade, as if he is turning all the support and all the energy he has gathered into one single strike. The dragon releases attack at the same moment. Both of them charge against each other. The dragon's attack descends with terrifying force while Orhan rises toward it with a body that is almost falling apart but with an unshaken will. For a moment, everyone holds their breath. No one knows who will win. Orhan uses the reflection spell he prepared, along with his stacked enhancements and the massive sword strike, turning the moment of impact into a weakness against the dragon. The energy explodes and light covers the entire area. The recruits cover their eyes and Selma feels the shockwave almost knock them down. After the dust begins to settle, Orhan appears standing with difficulty. His body is battered, his breathing is broken, and pain is clear on his face. But in front of him, the black dragon is falling. The monster that killed Albert. The monster the hero party ran away from. The monster that could have wiped out everyone on floor 50. Orhan defeats it alone. The entire place becomes silent for a moment, as if no one can understand what just happened. Sophia looks at him as if she's seeing a legend in front of her. Caroline loses her ability to joke. Logan is shocked, but this time his shock is not fear, it is respect. And Selma, one of the strongest enchanters, stands there understanding that Orhan is not just someone with many skills. Orhan is someone who turned his wide range of skills into an impossible weapon. After the dragon falls, Orhan's body starts betraying him. The enhancements he used had a price. The pressure he put on himself was beyond normal, and his body cannot keep standing after all of that. He tries to reassure them and say that the danger is over, but his voice is weak. Sophia runs toward him and Selma moves quickly as well, but even through his exhaustion, Orhan remains focused on everyone's safety. He asks about the recruits. Did anyone get injured? Did the dragon touch anyone? Is the area safe? That makes them understand even more why he did all of this. Not to prove that he is stronger than the hero party, not to earn a title, and not to take revenge on the people who expelled him. He did it because there were people in front of him who needed protection. At the same time, far away from them, the hero party and the guild were on their way toward the disaster, expecting to find the dragon still threatening the adventure. But what they will find next will be more shocking than the dragon itself. They will find that Orhan, the person they called weak, reached the disaster before them and ended it alone. And this battle will not only change how the recruits see Orhan, it will also force everyone to start asking one question. If this is the weak one, then what exactly had the hero party been depending on all those years? We continue after Orhan managed to defeat the black dragon alone, and the entire place is still silent from the weight of what just happened. The black dragon, the monster that had terrified the whole dungeon and caused a disaster because of the hero party, is lying dead in front of them. And Orhan is standing after the battle, clearly exhausted, but instead of thinking about himself, the first thing he does is make sure everyone around him is safe. Sophia, Logan, and Caroline are standing there in shock because they did not just see a strong trainer. They saw someone enter a battle that could have killed all of them and carry the danger away from them by himself. Sophia looks at him with fear and gratitude because she knows that if Orhan had not been there, none of them would have gotten out of that situation safe. Logan is shocked too, but this time his shock is different. Before, he had been trying to compare himself to Orhan, and part of him still did not want to admit Orhan's value. But after what he saw, the comparison itself became ridiculous. Orhan is not just a good enchanter. Orhan is someone who fought a legendary monster, supported himself, protected everyone around him, and endured a level of pressure no one expected. Caroline too, the one who always hides her fear behind laughter and jokes, finds herself silent. Because the scene is bigger than any light comment. Selma stands there, unable to hide her amazement. She is one of the strongest users of support magic, and yet what she saw from Orhan made her understand that this man is not just a dismissed member of the hero party. He is someone with a completely different way of fighting and using magic. After a while, the hero party arrives at the battlefield. Oliver, Annalie, Derek, Luna, and Philly enter while expecting to find a disaster still happening, or at least to find the dragon needing a full group to face it. But what they see stops them in place. The black dragon is dead, and Orhan, the person they expelled and called weak, is the one who finished. The shock appears on their face. Luna immediately moves toward Orhan to check on him and heal him, because from the beginning she was the one who understood that his presence mattered. But Orhan calmly stops her and asks her to focus on the area and on anyone else who might need help. He is tired, yes, but to him, the priority is still making sure everyone is safe and dealing with the aftermath of the disaster. That attitude makes people respect him even more. Even after coming out of a terrifying fight, he is not trying to take the spotlight for himself. Derek cannot handle the sight. To him, Orhan defeating the dragon means that everything they said about him is starting to collapse. So instead of admitting it or even staying silent, he gets angry and speaks aggressively, as if he cannot accept that the person he used to look down on is now standing in front of him as a real hero. Luna does not let him continue. She uses a binding spell on him and freezes him in place, stopping his outburst and making him understand that this is not the time for pride or anger. The move surprises everyone because it proves that Luna is not just a calm healer in the party. When she needs to stop someone, she can. Annalie is uncomfortable too. She sees the dragon dead and she sees everyone looking at Orhan with respect, and that suffocates her from the inside. Because all this time she was convinced that he was just someone who was not specialized in anything. But the truth in front of her now is extremely hard to swallow. If Orhan is weak, then how did he do what the entire hero party failed to do? Oliver is the worst one internally. He is not just seeing his old teammate succeed. He is seeing living proof of his own mistake. The decision he made to expel Orhan and the gate he used that moved the dragon to a higher floor, all of it gathers in front of him in one image. Orhan is standing there, the dragon is dead, and people know who saved the situation. After things calm down a little, Selma talks to Orhan about something important. She wants him to meet the clan leader because what happened is not something that can simply be ignored. Orhan did not only help train the recruit, he saved them and he saved many people inside the dungeon from a disaster that could have grown much bigger. Vince, the leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, sees that Orhan deserves a bigger place than just being a temporary trainer. He offers him a chance to join the clan, and not as a normal member but in an important position. It is a huge offer for someone who only a few days ago was expelled and broken by his old party. Orhan listens to the offer, but instead of accepting quickly, he asks for time to think. And that makes complete sense, because inside him there is still fear. He has just come out of a painful experience. People he thought were his family threw him away easily, so it is natural for him to be afraid of entering a new place and having the same thing happen again. To him, joining a major clan is not just an opportunity, it means trusting people again, and trust has become difficult for him now. After that, Orhan goes to meet his older friend, the shop owner who always talks to him without judging. He sits with him and tells him about the offer, not in a showy way but like someone who is confused. He knows the offer is good and he knows the clan sees his value, but he does not know if he is ready to start again among new people. The older man listens calmly and understands that the problem is not really the clan itself. The problem is the wound Orhan is still carrying. Orhan basically says that he is afraid of being used again, afraid of entering a new place, giving everything he has, and then being thrown away when people decide he does not fit the image they had in mind. Those words reveal how deeply the hero party's expulsion hurt him. He did not just lose his place, he lost part of his ability to trust people. The older man advises him not to make his decision based only on fear. He asks him what he himself wants. Does he want to stay standing in the same place because he was hurt? Or does he want to walk a new path with people who truly see his value? Those words make Orhan think seriously, because for the first time the question is not, do people need me or not? The real question becomes. Orhan returns to see Sophia, Logan, and Caroline, and he finds that the three of them are more attached to his presence than he expected. Sophia is happy about the idea of him joining the clan because she feels safe when he is around, and she feels that she can learn from him without fear. Logan too, after seeing his strength and his way of doing things, now sees Orhan as a true teacher, not a rival and not someone he has to surpass, but someone who might open a new path for him in support magic. Caroline, in her cheerful way, shows that she wants him to stay with them, but beneath the jokes, it is clear that she truly sees him as someone who can guide them. Here, Orhan realizes that the situation is not just an offer from Selma or Vince. There are young people still at the beginning of their journey who see him as a role model, and if he refuses, they might even leave the clan just so they can learn from him outside. That thought affects him deep, because all this time he believed he was someone who could be replaced easily. But now there are people who do not want a replacement for him. They want him specific. After that, Orhan is summoned to an important meeting with the council, with the hero party present. The meeting is meant to discuss the disaster caused by the Black Dragon, and the hero party's role in moving the monster to a higher floor and putting many adventurers in danger. The atmosphere in the meeting is extremely tense. On one side, there are officials who want to understand the truth. On the other side, the hero party is standing there, unable to tolerate the humiliation. Oliver tries to look composed, but it is clear he is under pressure. Annalie and Derek still have that same arrogant look, as if admitting Orhan's value would shatter the image they have of themselves. Philly is standing in the middle too, knowing that what happened exposed the weakness of the new party. As for Luna, she is the most realistic among them. She knows they made a mistake, and she knows denying it will not fix anything. The council begins talking about what happened. The hero party entered the deep floors without enough preparation after replacing a key member, failed against the Black Dragon, and then used a teleportation gate that caused the monster to move into a more dangerous area for other adventurers. This is not a small mistake. This is a battle and administrative disaster, and many people could have died because of it. Orhan is present in the meeting, not to mock them, but because the truth has to be said. Oliver tries to defend himself or reduce how much the party had depended on Orhan in the past. Derek and Annalie also refuse to give him the respect he deserves, because if they admit that, then they have to admit they were wrong when they looked down on him. Here, Orhan does not stay silent like before. Throughout the previous episodes, he had been swallowing his pain and trying to move forward without entering a direct confrontation. But this time in front of the council, he says what is inside him. He faces them with the truth. He basically tells them that they never saw what he was doing. They thought the strength they had was their strength alone, and that support was only something secondary, but the truth is that they got used to his presence so much that they forgot his impact. When he covered their mistakes, they did not notice. When he adjusted their timing, they did not see it. When he supported Oliver's reckless charges, Annalie's pride, and Derek's overconfidence, they thought all of that was their natural skill. His words land heavily on them. Luna knows Orhan is telling the truth, and Selma and Vince listen while understanding how important this moment is for him. Not because he is trying to take revenge, but because he is finally setting boundaries. Oliver gets upset because Orhan is speaking in front of the council. To him, this damages his image as a hero. But Orhan continued. He explains that the problem is not only that they expelled him. The problem is that they expelled him without even understanding what he had been doing. And then they continued with the same arrogance, putting other people in danger. Derek tries to object, but his position is weak, especially after what happened with the dragon and after Luna stopped him before. Annalie tries to hold on to her old view, but the facts are clear in front of her. The hero party failed, and Orhan saved the situation. There is no sentence harsher than that for them. In the end, Orhan does not leave the meeting victorious in a flashy way. He leaves lighter, as if he has finally said part of the words that had been suffocating him since the day he was expelled. After the meeting, the decision inside him becomes clearer. Returning to the hero party is not his path. Waiting for Oliver's apology will not build his life. The new path is in front of him, and there are people who truly want him. Selma and Vince are offering him a real place, and Sophia, Logan, and Caroline see him as a teacher and a leader. Orhan begins to understand that the fear of being used again is understandable. But if he stays stuck because of that fear, then the hero party will have broken him more than he realized. That is why, in the end, Orhan decides to follow his feeling. He agrees to join the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan. This decision is not just moving from one party to another. It is the start of a new life. Instead of being the person who was expelled from the hero party, he will become a member of a place that sees his value. Instead of staying trapped by the label jack of all trades, he will start proving that his wide range of skills is his real strength. Sophia, Logan, and Caroline are extremely happy with his decision, because to them Orhan's presence is not just a strength for the clan. It is a promise that they will grow and learn under the guidance of someone who saved them and saw their weaknesses without despising them. As for the hero party, their exit from the episode has a bitter taste. They are still not ready to fully admit it, and their pride is still holding them back. But from this moment on, the old image has been broken. People saw that Orhan is not a burden. The council heard the truth, and the new clan opened its door for him. Orhan has finally started walking his own path, not in Oliver's shadow and not behind the name of the hero party, but with his own name, his own strength, and his own choice.